And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Getting nervous.
10.
Apparently we've been doing this for a bit. I still got
2.
Hey guys, Jordan Nielsen here, host of Real Estate Pros on Lister Pros TV, and today we're at Guild Mortgage. They've been so gracious to let us use their facilities today, and we're in Tucson, Arizona with the Lopez Newton Realtors. Thank you so much for taking time out of your guys' busy day as real estate agents and joining me on Real Estate Pros.
Our pleasure.
Of course.
Awesome. So for those watching that don't know who you are, I'll give you a couple of minutes to introduce yourselves.
Sure. I'm Tyler Lopez. I've been in real estate for just hit 7 years. I always had an inclination, I always wanted to do all the investment stuff, started selling a good number of houses, I guess, and then started building a team. I started coaching, more or less been coached, and that's a big part of my focus, and here we are. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm Tana Newton, and I have been selling real estate for 13 years and came right out of the U of A and got in right when real estate was booming and hung in there during the downtime and met Tyler 3 years ago, and we complement each other pretty well. We do all the things that we think we should do to succeed in this business and keep our clients happy and continuing on. And here we are.
Awesome. So you went to U of A for some degree, and then you're like, I'm going to be a real estate agent.
Communication degree, so
Okay,
I'm able to use it.
Communications.
Yes.
I've talked to some other real estate agents where they did the exact same thing, and their parents were kind of like, why did I just pay for your college?
My parents are proud.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
glad that I went, and it was an awesome experience, and go Cats.
Go Cats. All right, so 13 years in the business, and you've been in the business for 7 years. So 3 years ago, you guys joined up working together. So what made you guys want to work together?
I actually think I just got more or less crowded with, I wasn't holding myself accountable, and I wanted to sell a bunch of houses, so I started looking for people, and honestly, Tana was on a team that was selling a bunch of houses, and the number of people that told me I need to hire, I was always so scared of doing it, and then all of a sudden Tana just is right there out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to do this. So, I mean, it took the production from selling 30 to 60 houses pretty much right away, so
Wow.
it was cool to do that transition. I mean, there was a lot that you learned within real estate pretty much within the first year, and I think I just used it immediately, and then as soon as I started going backwards, then I decided I need to hire. And she was a great compliment. I mean, I literally didn't have anybody's name written down that I'd ever talked to or sold a house to. And the day that Tana came in my office, she goes, all right, let me see your CRM. I'm like, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. And then but yeah, she got to work on that right away, and it helped out tremendously, and we kind of started from there.
So how do you guys manage it, right? So you're working by yourself, basically doing everything, then you decide to join forces. How do you decide who does what, or that dynamic of the team?
Tyler is an amazing salesperson. He is great when you meet him. He has a special knack when it comes to selling properties, finding out exactly what the client wants, and he can probably show less than 5 houses and nail it. And I have more of a transactional type of management style. I'm very good at the day-to-day processes, getting them from A to Z, and I like paperwork. So
Nice.
he doesn't, and therefore it just all worked
So
out.
a great compliment.
Absolutely.
And recently you guys added some additional team members to your guys' team?
Yes, we just got so lucky to add 4 buyer's agents to our team, and so our goal next year is 250?
I hope so.
250 homes next year.
250. And you mentioned emphasis on coaching, like you're being coached,
Right.
but also do you offer coaching to your team, or how long?
Well, how many times have you heard people say that those who teach can't do? In the coaching program that I'm in, it's you can't teach it unless you're doing it. So, a lot of the guys that are on the team now, and one girl, and I mean, everything that I teach them, I literally show them instead of just telling them. And I think that's really cool part of just being in the industry anyway. I mean, there's so many tricks that people just don't really even know how to do or what to do, and I mean, to let them know how much of the line that they're skipping, because I love sales. Everything about sales, and really instilling everything that I've ever done, and like teaching them the real tricks on, you guys don't have to go through this part. just go right to here. And then, I mean, I spend most of my days and most of what I do just sales training in general. And I love passing that stuff on. That's cool.
So you were doing, you said 30 deals a year, then you joined forces doing 60, and you're saying this next year your goal is to do 250.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing that from an other real estate agent perspective? Because I'm sure there's plenty out there that are hitting that $2 to $3 million range a year by themselves, but want to take it to that next level. What are the things that you guys have in place to make that happen?
Well, I don't know where we skipped a year in the timeline too, but
Oh yeah, there's one here.
no, like I was selling 20, 30, 40, I think is what it was. And then all of a sudden Tana gets there and I think we sold 82 and we did 104 last year. We kind of regressed a bit because we were going backwards to take 2 steps forward. And this year the goal was 130. I don't think we're going to hit it, but honestly, to answer your question, I think it's just outworking everybody. I mean, everybody sees how I work and everyone wants to do like the day in the life of let's see how you do things and what you do. And the whole team right now, they know that I'm pretty much amped up the whole day. And they always ask me, like, how do you do what you do? I said, well, I just do as much as I can, honestly. Like, at the end of the day, I'm usually exhausted. And that's pretty much why I wanted to hire other people, because it almost feels selfish for me not only to have to do all of it, but to want to do it. And there's some kind of satisfaction within that of, like, guys, you got to push yourself a lot harder. So, I mean, as long as you have goals and knowing that I have to sell $2 million a month to make myself happy, and that normal agents will sell, I don't even know what the average is anymore, but yeah, no, it's
quite a bit less than that.
Is it? Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, that's the basics of it, honestly.
So what are the activities that you guys focus on every single day, every week, to make your operation a success and to be able to achieve those goals that you have set for yourself?
Sure. Well, I think a lot of it's just balancing what you do with your business. So there's a lot of forms that I'm required to do, and there's a lot of forms that now I require the team to do that. Basically, it's seeing 3 people a day, having coffee or dinner with one person, making 4 new phone calls, somebody you've never talked to before, following up with your leads, your current clients, and then people that are important to you. But you also have to track your numbers on, how many leads you got. We're really big on speed to the lead, and there's so many things that I repeat to the team all the time that, the consistency of everything that we do, it just doesn't happen right away. I mean, everything we do in real estate is 6 months out. And that's why most people get in and they get out so fast, because, they get 1 paycheck in 6 months and don't realize they're going to have 10 in the next 6 months, and they just go and find something else to do. So it's just structure and
Right. So it sounds like you guys are structured and focused on your numbers of what you got to achieve every single day. Now, to be able to back in and actually see the results, you got to have systems, right, that help you achieve that. What systems do you guys use?
As far as
like CRM or different systems that help you stay organized to be able to not forget, oh yeah, that client I need to follow up with, or this lead came in, we followed up last week.
If I told you it was memory, for me, honestly, like, I don't know, I think crazy, but I think Tana can answer a lot of the
Yeah, so
that's your department.
That
right
is
now.
more my department. We use Top Producer as our CRM. I love that system. But we also, through our coaching, we have been provided with a lot of forms, like he was mentioning, that keep us on task and hold us each accountable, that we can write it down, we can review it. We have accountability partners within the team so that we are obviously partners, but the buyer's agents also have each other to go back and forth and, hey, we need to do 2 events this week to meet more people and to spread the word that we're looking for people to help in the community. And those forms, we keep track of them, watch the numbers, and if we're supposed to meet 15 people this week and you've only met 4 by Friday, you betcha they're going to be doing at least 4 open houses that weekend to meet those numbers.
Wow. So you guys hold each other accountable with forms where you have goals and your contacts and stuff like that every single day.
Everything's formulated. It is all, it's not, magic. It's just, you got to do what you got to do in order to achieve. And if you've got a certain goal like we do, this year was 130, and I think we're going to get to 110, 115, and that's just us 2. So for us to hit 250 as a big team, we know what the numbers and we know what the metrics are in order to reach that goal and make it possible.
So you guys know your numbers, you know how you've achieved the 100, and then you just kind of got to reverse the numbers and, like, in order to get to the 250, we got to take our activity level to the next level, and that's probably part of the reason why you're bringing on more people to be able to.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing of what we're even talking about is Honestly, most of the people I talk to in real estate or try to take them on as mentoring them or helping them out. It's weird that I always look at them and I'm like, you're waiting for me to tell you like the secret. Like I'm holding something back. Like at the end of this, I'm just gonna give you like but I pay $100 for this, and then you can just do this. But no, it's honestly just waking up and working harder than everybody else.
Right.
And it's so proven, like Tana said, when you do what you have to do. I don't usually care if it takes you 2 hours or it takes you 12 hours. I mean, if you're done, you're done. It's just not the way that I work. But I know that if you fill out and do what you have to do, you get a certain amount of results.
That makes a lot of sense, right?
So duplicate it, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the hard part in real estate, right? People get into the business, they get all the systems, they focus on all these little things, but they don't do the consistent work and the effort and put in the work necessary to get where you're wanting to go. I think
Working for yourself is a difficult thing to do, and finding an accountability partner helps a lot. And whether that's a coach or a business partner or a team that's looking up to you, that's going to help you succeed. An old boss told me when I got into real estate, go buy a car, go buy a house, get married, have some kids, because I know you're going to show up every day and work really hard and try to help others achieve their dreams of home ownership. And I did it, and I haven't stopped working since.
So one of your main roles is to help keep it seems like the office organized with paperwork and stuff like that. What are some tips or tricks, or not tips or tricks, but to keep everything on task?
Oh my gosh. They're like silly things that just keep you going. Like the way that we organize our files is by the date of closing. I used to not do that, and everything was a little crazy, but now I just know that the files in front are closing sooner than the files behind me. Red files are sellers, blue files are buyers. Again, a silly little tip, but it organizes everything. It's visual. We have a sticker that we put on every folder that just gives us an immediate glance and lets us know exactly what we're doing and what to do and when it's due and all of that, so that if all else failed, if Tyler got into a car accident tomorrow and wasn't here anymore, we could all just pick up his files and go, and our clients would not miss a single step.
So let's talk a little bit on the consumer side of things. We know there's a lot of options when it comes to real estate agents in the Tucson market. What makes your guys' group different, or why do people ultimately use you guys to represent them as a buyer or seller?
This is me.
That's you.
So there's two things that I repeat, not only to the team, but almost every single person I meet with, and I tell them that all the time. They go, what's your elevator pitch, or what's your value proposition? And I repeat it to myself, or repeat it to the team all the time, that my job's to create the sale and not wait for the sale. And it takes a lot of explaining on how to get there. But most of what people want as a buyer, you type it into MLS and it's not there. And if the inventory is low, it feeds into who you should be calling. And that's a way to cold call people, and it's a way to create the market of what they're looking for. Because at any given time, anybody you're calling, it's, hey, somebody out there somewhere clearly wants what you have, and why are you not listing it? And if you would list it, what does that look like? And then you've got a new client. On the on the listing side, my saying for that is to provide you with everything you didn't know you needed. And there's some really, really cool stuff that we do just to list houses. I came up with this whole system on how every buyer that goes into a house, it's our listing. We don't have the opportunity to tell every buyer's agent that's showing them the house everything that I know. So we've got this whole system where I'm giving USB drives that have all the information about the house that you could ever possibly imagine to want. So when they're done at the end of the day, it's the only house that they remember. And they're really expensive USB drives, so I like to think that people don't throw them away. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's hard to not remember any of our listings. And to me, that's really cool. And showing that to a seller of, I'm doing everything I possibly can, not only to list your house, but to sell it. Because having a sign in your ground doesn't make me any money. But we have to sell it.
Right. And I think that's a trap that a lot of realtors get into. They get the listing and then they just put it on the MLS and they're done.
That's the easy
part. That's the easy part, right. But actually going to bat for it, getting it in front of more people,
Right.
And she mentioned earlier that you probably show people 5 homes and find them. What's the trick to getting somebody or showing people properties that they don't actually
I
want to put
I
on?
know that it's just knowing the market better than most. Honestly, like if you walk into a house and they want a certain number of things, I know that they're not sure what they want yet. So it's my job to show them what they didn't know they needed to see. And thinking outside of the box, if they need a garage, I'm like, okay, would a 2-car carport be okay? Because I know what it costs to put a garage on it. We have to have an AC. Okay, what if I could negotiate an AC? Then you're going to see all the houses that everybody else comes to my office and asks for. Of course, you want a 3-bed, 2-bath with a garage and a cul-de-sac. I get it. But how about a 2-bed, 2-bath, and maybe it's got a den with a 2-car carport and a swamp cooler. And I can teach you how to make this house something with equity and something that you're actually going to like versus buying something that somebody else liked and now they're getting rid of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That is, and for me thinking about this, it's a better experience on the buyer side, right? Because who wants to spend all day just going around town looking at all these properties where they may not even meet your criteria? But the creativity I like, I think a lot of people will just punch in the MLS, 3 bedrooms, 2-bath, has to be a garage, but they don't think about that side of real estate. They might spend $50,000 less and put 20 into it to get it to what they want.
Well, I think that on the buyer side, since we're free on that side for the majority of it, is they want to know that you're working for them. And just opening the door isn't really working for them. You're trying to sell them. And I'm their salesman, not selling them something. So it's just a mindset when it comes down to it. If you hired me to show you what you're hoping to see, and you could have looked on MLS on your own. So let me take the reins and let me show you something that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. And that has a lot to do with showing them only a limited number of houses and making the best use of our time. Because selling a bunch of homes, I don't necessarily have 8 weekends in a row to show 4 houses to one client every day.
Right.
So.
And we talked a lot about on the buy side. What about on the sell side? What are some of those things that you guys do for your sellers that may be different from the agent down the street?
Well, he had mentioned the USB, which I thought was a really creative and awesome idea once we came up with it, because we were really struggling with the idea that, yes, we talk to the seller tells us everything that they love about their home. But when the buyer's agent calls and says, hey, I want to show your house, I've got like 2 seconds to give them some highlights. Like, oh, make sure that you open all the windows and you'll see all the light that comes in. But I don't get to go into like the nitty gritty of what makes that home special. And you're as good as the buyer's agent that's in that house. And we can show you a lot of pictures, we can do a lot of things and make it look really pretty, but unless you know all the really cool features about it, they might walk next door. And so Tyler came up with an awesome idea of how do we get in front of those buyers? How do we, the people that the sellers hired to sell their house, how do we sell it? And he did. We got these USBs and they're cute. They look like a little key. And again, when you're showing houses, you get all this paper and you get all confused, and a lot of agents show 8 to 12 houses and they're worn out and tired, but they've got this little USB that has the seller's disclosures on it, has the insurance stuff on it, has the photos, has a floor plan, has everything that you might want to know. If the seller has written all kinds of things, unique stuff. So that way, we are in front of them. We are actively selling that house when they are at home exhausted. They're like, oh, what was on that one again? And they're reminded, and they won't throw it away because it's more valuable than a Xerox piece of paper.
Right, and I think definitely that's making a more impact on the people that walk through, because they might see a bunch of houses, like you said, 12 houses, they're tired. Oh, I don't remember exactly that one, but then they got the USB to kind of remember, and oh yeah, I really like this feature about that house, right? So
the flip side to that is the investment part of what I do. I've got a number of rentals, and I've flipped a number of houses, and I've felt what it's like to be a seller, most likely more times than any seller we've ever worked with. So when I'm going on a listing appointment, I'm telling them, hey, this is what I had to do last time I was in this situation. I know you love this color, but last time I listed one of my houses that I did X, Y, and Z that you seem to love, I did too. So hear me out, and let's do this so that we can actually sell your house for somebody that is new and can see themselves living in the house versus them seeing what it's like to live in your house. And it's usually a really easy conversation, because I know what it's worth, because if this were my house and I were selling it, this is what I would price it at. You can either take the advice or not, but at least we had the conversation.
Right.
And I think that's a better way to kind of personalize the experience for the most part.
And those purple walls, those don't help.
Yeah, they don't help. No, they don't. Right.
Awesome. Well, if somebody watching this is interested in maybe finding out more about your real estate team, or looking to buy, or looking for somebody to represent them as a buyer or seller, how do people get a hold of you guys?
Go ahead, Tana.
LopezNewton.com or 520-270-6170.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tana, for
Thank
joining
you.
me on Real Estate Pros this afternoon, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Great.